Stay curious. Stay connected.
Welcome to the Gen AI Africa podcast, where we decode the future, spotlight African AI innovations, and amplify your voices that are shaping Africa's digital future. I'm your host, Bongegile Filana, and of course, I'm not alone. I'm with Tulani, the host of the Most Explorers. And we are joined by a very special guest from Tanzania. You know, Tanzania is doing the things, it's giving, because they are running a very vibrant AI ecosystem. That's why you will see many guests in this podcast from Tanzania, starting from the digital governance or data governance to cybersecurity. So we are at the center of amplifying your voices that are shaping Africa's digital future. As I said, from AI innovations to cybersecurity. We are joined by Arpna, who's doing amazing work in the space of AI, and also she will be speaking with us on to understand, in fact, how do we define a balance between data collaboration and data privacy. And this is because you saw that even in Namibia, their data was seen on the dark web. And in South Africa, there was a cyber attack on our platform, Start SA. So if Namibia and South Africa are facing these cyber attacks, we need to have this conversation on how do we make sure that personal data is protected. And I'm not an expert in data space or in the cybersecurity space, so we made sure that today we are joined by someone who's going to tell us all. Tulani, how are you? It's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Hi, Tulani.
Hi, Bungi. How are you?
I'm good, and how are you?
Very much good.
I hope you don't have flu. Hey, last time, last time I was having flu and like you were not around because of flu, but I'm glad I'm back with a bang.
Yeah, I'm back. Here to stay. No flu formed against me shall prosper. Yeah, thanks for that beautiful insight, Bungi. Think now we just want to focus on our guest, who is Arpna. Arpna, how are you?
I am doing great. I love Bongi's introduction. I think she well said on Tanzania and about data governance.
Yeah, 100%. That's it's those are key things that people don't seem to think that they're important. The data and governance. So, do you mind, before we even begin, just tell us a bit of yourself and just a 1 minute elevator pitch, if you may say, about yourself.
Sure. So my roots and my soul is from Tanzania, but I've been residing in United States for some time now, quite some time. But lately, we've been traveling back and forth to Tanzania and help with the AI and cybersecurity space. I started my journey in Tanzania, working there, and then I had come here for my further education. So going back, always keep going back to Tanzania, because Tanzania has a lot to offer, and it's actually moving quite fast when it comes to the AI and cybersecurity space, and creating the AI policies as well. I have, in the past couple of months, been interacting and educating through my keynote speaking events in different forms in Tanzania, definitely virtual, and now being engaged with Tahia in the healthcare industry with my expertise. So that's a little bit about what my current projects and my involvements are in Tanzania.
Oh wow, that sounds like a lot. Do you ever sleep or relax? That sounds amazing. And when you were actually doing an introduction about yourself, it drew interest on the marriage between cybersecurity and AI. Do you mind breaking that down and how that actually works? Because people don't usually think about cybersecurity when they think about AI. And yeah, can you give us some insight with regards to that? Do you have anything?
Yes. So I hold the title of IT auditor, right? And this is what I say. We are in the era of AI, right? I think we are breathing, eating, walking, talking AI. But I think what is being missed is keeping cybersecurity threats and risks behind our mind. And they go hand in hand, because whenever we implement a new technology or we implement an AI process, I must say, it heavily leverages on data being borrowed or taken from real people, right? And that's used to train, that's called training data that we use to produce the final product. So does anybody even think about cybersecurity and the risks? So cybersecurity meaning the security, the logical security, the data transfer securities, just to mention some, right? There's a key functions that I personally say should be in everybody's back of mind, who is not only a citizen who is sharing the data, but who is also asking for the data. Because we have seen cases that there has been abuse of data. So that's where cybersecurity plays a very important part and role.
Oh, and so you would say that it's a very important building block in like the AI space.
Oh, 110%. Because we don't need to be experts in cybersecurity if we come to talking about each individual person who is using AI, but at least should be aware of the risks that can be come across through and from AI.
And in you saying that, how have you seen Tanzania take that direction? Is there any collaboration and data collection or data privacy audits or frameworks that are in place so that the implementation of AI or relevant technologies that come into place are well protected?
I would like to respond to this with an example. Okay. So Tanzania has strong digital enables. Its national broadband backbones like submarines, cables, and internet exchange points. We all face internet problems. But without cybersecurity, these systems can quickly become a channel of risk instead of innovation. I would like to use the word. If we take an example, we take the mobile money. That's one of the Africa's biggest success stories. In Tanzania, millions of people rely on it every day to day. I do that as well myself when I'm sending money back and forth. So behind the scenes, every transaction depends on the identity verification, secure networks, and the fraud detection systems. So now think about it. If these systems weren't secure, like SIM swaps and what is called as API, that's like the exchange of information, there are breaches or there's spoofing of identity. That's a very easy thing that can go wrong. So people could lose, the consequences would be people could lose money and trust almost overnight. So that is something that Tanzania implemented, was the national ID number based, it's called EKCU ecosystem, where banks and fintechs integrate with the national ID systems to verify customers in real time. I think this is something that has one of the success stories on overcoming and protecting data in regard to cybersecurity in Tanzania.
Oh, so you say there's an EPU ecosystem?
It's called EKYC ecosystem. EKYC. It's tied to the national identity number. It's a digital one.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
Do you open an account on a platform, and then when you automatically open an account, you can have access to banks? How does it work? How does that work?
So a little bit of what I've known, because what I saw when I walked in last year, or so approximately 2 years now, you know, when you go, for example, when you go open a bank account, right? In the past years, when I left the country, you would need like multiple paper documents. You would need ID letters, or you need witnesses. But today there's a national ID system where it helps you in a central location, you know, deposit that information and create you a national identification number, right? That ties to your data. And the good part about that one is that if there is certain fields and for certain data that is only required for certain services, for example, bank or healthcare, right? Then the service will pull that information from the central depository, right? And they will pull only the information that's required, that's used for your banking. So that is a lot of less burdensome process. It's become more efficient as well, and centralizing depository of the data. And it actually is backed up with the Personal Data Protection Act and the Data Protection Commission within Tanzania.
Okay.
So it's within the regulatory bodies.
Oh, so it follows like the data sovereignty of Tanzania.
Yes, for sure. They've worked very hard on that one.
Okay, so the infrastructure and everything is in Tanzania, which is great.
Yes, I do see Tanzania moving quite fast ahead and building policies and strengthening their security when it comes to data.
Yeah. So do you see it doing more collaborations in Africa?
Oh, yes. In terms of collaborations, I have seen them growing now into the healthcare space as well, right? And then also collaborating with other countries to move forward, and can move data around across the borders as well.
Okay, so essentially, if you're in Tanzania, you can use the same identification number in South Africa and have the same health benefits. Like you have.
I would say they would be. They are like when I come to United States, I say every state has their own rules, right?
Oh, okay.
Every state, every country has their own regulations that we have to follow, right? So there are checks and balances that are performed when you're crossing border, like let's say even to Kenya, matter of fact, even though East Africa is considered one, but there are checks and balances that we need to do it, but it's not manual anymore. It's more digital.
Yes. So do you think that general population has trust in that system, and like the digital transformation that Tanzania has made?
To answer that question, I mean, without trust of people not trusting the system, the whole process is not gonna fall into the place the way as it's designed. So public trust is the ultimate success factor for this, right? If people feel confident that their data is protected, and that only comes through being well educated and being well aware to the people and how it's being protected and where it's being used, then I don't see, and that's the word I would use, transparency, right? If that's completely transparent and people don't hesitate, right? This is a great initiative to move forward and even incorporate other services, especially in the public sector and healthcare sector, to move forward, with the digital transformation.
Oh, okay. So you would say that they built the trust with being transparent.
Yes, that's one factor, definitely, because I mean, being a designer, right, and an innovator, without public trust, I don't think you can even continue this business, because the truthful and every data that is of public has to come from public, and number one thing is the trust that has to come from public.
100%, 100%. Because I can imagine the public not trusting their government with the data. That would be, the system wouldn't be fully wouldn't be fully utilized. It wouldn't actually do what it's supposed to do. And yeah, there's been a lot of cybersecurity attacks, what you call hacking. Here in South Africa, we had a case of Adumo, which is a payment system that was just that that was hacked, and they released the data on the dark web, including the code files, the data, and so on. And it also happened to one of our major banks, which is Standard Bank. This information is public, so I can't say that, right? Yeah, so yeah, it's a bit concerning for me on my end, because you trust these third parties, because these are private institutions. You trust them with your data and so on. And how can you, as a person, protect yourself against this? Because you get that. They say that you must trust us and all of that, but how can you, as a Bongikile or Arpna, protect yourself against these malicious actors?
This is such a good question, and I'm glad we're talking about it, because I come from Tanzania. I grew up in Tanzania. So I'm a 90s kid. So I've seen that culture, right? And how data was transferred at that point of time. And now I see where AI and how we're using the data for AI, right? You know what? The one thing that's missing is the culture, which quote unquote is training and awareness, right? And when I talk about it, education plays a very key important role. We don't have to go to school, but we just need to make people aware. What are the risks, right? How important is your data? And what is it being used for, especially? So if I was back in the day, I wouldn't even know what to do with it. And if somebody asked me for something, my name, or even my passport number was a Tanzanian passport number, and my telephone number. Let's even talk about email addresses and telephone numbers. Those are critical fields that needs to be protected and carefully given out. I mean, anybody can go on LinkedIn with a name and look up the person. You can easily find that information, unless it's unless your profile is made private, right? So it all ties back to how well and what is the awareness that we're spreading, and the risks, and who is telling them. And I wouldn't say rural areas. I come from Arusha, which was in rural area, which was a small town, but now it's grown out. Is that how are we spreading the awareness on the usage of data and what data to give out to who? So that will play a very important key factor. And the second thing that I want to add is that not everybody speaks the same language, right? It's not about Swahili or English, right? Or me being an Indian as Hindi. What I say is that we IT people or expert or governance people, we use heavy terminologies. I remember back in the day, lawyers used to use high words, which we never even could grasp.
Yeah.
So I think that is one thing that I recommend heavily is, this information should be passed in their language, which is Swahili in Tanzania. Secondly, is that it shouldn't be, it's like you teaching a 9-year-old. It shouldn't be teaching like a grad student.
Okay. Now I hear you. So it's more on it's more on awareness. People should know what information, that the risk that they are doing when they're handing out their information. But on our side, not even about. I just want to say on our side, it doesn't compute, if I may say, when you give out that information that your data point is important. It just feels like, let me just sign up so I can get to where I need to get to, right? For instance, we were having a discussion with a friend. I think he's even at university. We were at university, and we were talking, and the discussion came about how does Facebook make money, and one of them said that when they purchase data, because here in South Africa you purchase data like in gigs from a internet service provider, and then you can use the data. They said, okay, Facebook takes a portion of that data, and I was stunned because this person is supposed to know. In my mind, this person is supposed to know that no, that's not how they make money, right? So it just, I'm just taking a tangent here, but I'm just also trying to paint a picture on the understanding and the importance of the awareness that we need to have generally in Africa and the world.
To add to your point, it's a very good example that you talked about, right? As growing up, and we're in different stages of the ages, including up until we're in college, right? First year of college. What it is that we are blindly signing off and writing our email addresses and phone numbers, right? Yeah. But do we even have a questioning, which in IT world we say, IT audit or audit world we say it's skeptical mind, right? Would you ask these questions? Like, what is this? Why am I signing this up? And what is this being used for? The second thing about the Facebook, that's a very big, I want to say scrutiny, or what's the word? It's such up in the air conversation that everybody's talking about how the data is being taken from Facebook. That was the first social media, as far as I remember, not Instagram, when we all signed up and put our pictures. That's another one. Yeah. Pictures, when we put our pictures up. See, this is all how it's tied to cybersecurity. And the number one thing for public, and I mean broader public, for every age, right? When they start signing up on any social media platform as well, we should definitely take a minute to read their privacy rules. There's a consent when we do is accepted or not. I mean, even I think there was a task that I was doing, and it talked about how Apple, there was a case I think that went to court as well, how Apple's privacy laws, so there was some scrutiny around there that states that whether the data, when you use an Apple iPhone, right, there's data stored from GPS, your addresses, right, and the communication from different platforms, third-party platforms. How is that being transferred? How is it being stored? Or where is it being stored, right? And who outside Apple has access to that data? So that's why reading out the privacy policy of a tool, right? Or for what you're signing up, whether it's Instagram now and Facebook, it's very key important part. Even banks, matter of fact, even tax authorities, because they have your tax numbers when we file.
Yeah, that's
pretty
interesting. Scary. That's that's scary. When you would think
it is scary though. It is a scary world we are living in after COVID. So, but I think that how we can win this race is by awareness, spreading the awareness and education. I don't see how else we can beat this fight
other than doing awareness.
Yes.
Yeah, especially in Africa. So Africa, there's a lot of catching up that we need to do, and I feel like there's a lot of isolation that we build amongst each other, even as Africans, which is something that we are actively working towards breaking, me and Mungigile in the team, to try to figure a way and actually break those barriers. Also to ask, you said there's IT audit to that, which is something that I kept on hearing that you kept on mentioning, and something that you do. It seems like something that you do on a daily basis.
Yes. So IT audit, part of auditing, right? There is a component which is IT audit. And I think when somebody hears the word IT, it's about auditing systems, right? But this is now becoming a more hot cake, I want to say, field, because you're not only auditing systems, right? You're also auditing the compliance, the regulations. You're also auditing the policies and procedures implemented, right? I categorize this into three. And AI is heavily IT, right? Using the cloud platforms, using infrastructure, and using the data. So all these fall under auditing. So cybersecurity is the overarching umbrella.
Okay.
Then comes down how important auditors are for AI and cybersecurity, right? And then it comes down to all these three fields. And still all this, I'm still talking to you under the umbrella of AI, IT audit.
Okay.
Because that field is a very high expertise, which I personally believe, because our field has revolved from the past 5-6 years. Especially when AI has come, now we've become more advisories and strategists. Not do we only build tools for ourselves within that field, audit field, but we also audit other tools which are AI related, from the compliance to the whole life cycle.
Okay. Like, for instance, making sure that fintech companies comply with PCI DSS
Correct.
compliance and things like that.
Yes.
Okay. So it's not like you're opening a terminal and coding and closing networks.
No.
So it's not the stuff you're seeing on
That was
TV.
crazy.
Okay.
You know AI tools can do that. You don't need a human to do that anymore.
Yeah. About that, how do you feel about that? Because there's two schools. There's purists, which are people that believe that don't use AI and just apply your mind. And there's people that say, okay, use AI, but apply your mind. In fact, there's three schools, but apply your mind. Use AI, apply your mind. AI is a tool. And then there's the third one, which is like the vibe coders, which is just use AI. AI knows more than you. Don't even try to critique it. Just use AI. Which one are you more with?
So what I preach now in my sessions, right, is that use AI, but use your judgment as much as you use AI. AI is a tool to give you efficiency and make your work faster. But then I think nothing can beat over a human judgment. Being an auditor plays a very good role on this, right? Because when you evaluate a control, or you evaluate a process, or you evaluate a risk, right? You're using a judgment on that particular area of expertise, and you are identifying, what is the correct solution or what recommendation you need to provide, right? You can build off your judgment. Even if, let me give you a perfect example. When you do ChatGPT, or you use one of the OpenAI tools, you play around with the prompt when you enter, right?
Yeah.
And think about it. We always say, assume the role of an IT auditor, or assume the role of a compliance auditor, right? You're already giving a human person's expertise in there, right? And there is a word called hallucination. So your OpenAI can hallucinate. and not provide you accurate results at times. So we still need the human to review the work.
So
you can code, you can use them to code. We don't need to put like 10 hours of coding. Instead, you can do it in an hour, right? It's a hypothetically case study, but you still need somebody to review the code before you put it in production.
Yeah, 100%. And I completely agree with that school of thought. Like, it is a crutch, it's a tool. It's a tool actually you use. You have to keep applying yourself. So I'm with you on that one. Another thing is, how did you make the transition? How is the transition from Tanzania to the United States? How has that given you an advantage? How has that also put you in a position to say, okay, let me come back home? Because I hear you're trying to actually bridge the gap that the first world countries are doing. How are you doing that as well?
To answer both your questions, the first one, it was the biggest challenge moving back from Tanzania, right? One, I think, was the culture. Two, definitely was the family. The adjustment of the culture was the biggest one when he came to the United States. And that, again, going to the college here. The other thing was that the culture and the education that I learned helped me a lot from the one in Tanzania that put my stones, I would say my foundation, right? It kind of set me the pace and where I want to be. It made me disciplined. It made me, I want to use the word needy on learning more in the United States, right? And I was given very good education out in the United States that I feel that I can take it back home and, give that education so we can be on par to par walking as well. I mean, itself, what I'm learning right now at the current state today is that Tanzania is at the speed of light and adopting whatever it takes from AI. I would like to say that we Africans have a sharp mind. It's so funny. I'm going to relate this to our wildlife, right? Tanzania is one of the countries, one among the top countries that has a lot of wildlife. We've raised with the stories of wildlife, right? Our books in college are on wildlife. And we've given proverbs and motivation quotes using, like a cheetah's example or a lion's example, right? So that sharp, cunning mind has really helped me out here in the first world war country, right? And I feel like the culture and a lot of the education and the knowledge that I've brought from Tanzania has helped grow my foundation, to put the blocks in terms of education, and I'm still learning. I like to take courses as much as I can on AI, right, on compliance, AI governance, that I can continue passing that information back to my country in Tanzania. As I keep saying, my soul is still there.
Yeah, speaking of which, there's a course, there's a certification on IS2. I don't know if IS squared. I don't know if I'm pronouncing.
Yes, it's.
Would you recommend people taking courses there on that governance and compliance?
To answer I'll answer your question in two parts. Yeah. First, I feel like they do very good with their education and keeping updated knowledge, right? They are heavy on tech first, right? It talks about like being a practitioner, right? More on that. So in order to set the foundation for an AI or to learn AI governance, we need to learn the technical part. So that's where that part comes in, right? There are other institutions like ISACA, IIA, that also offer, and other secondary ones that offer AI governance certifications. So preparing for that also helps, but it's an investment. It is very important to evaluate your needs at the current state and then decide where you want to put your money in, because it's an investment and it's a big investment, and we'll have to work your way up slowly. There is another myth or notion that I feel like I don't believe in, is that once we've completed our masters, right, I feel like some people have gone for second masters or third masters, right? I feel like if you're you're specialized in something particular you want to work on, right, take courses for that, right? There's another one is that, Windows, Cisco, these platforms also offer Amazon, they offer technical courses, certificates, which are miniature certificates, but they give you hands-on practical experiences. So I recommend, and I heavily recommend, that any course you sign up for or take, see the practical or lab assignments. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I took a II course like 3 weeks back. It was for AI, and it helped for AI auditing, right? There was a practical lab that you could see how it was done and given case studies. That's how I drive from learning. I'm not a textbook person that I will keep reading textbooks. I'll fall asleep very fast.
Yeah,
so
me too.
it's just not going to work out for me. So that's what I do. And the education on AI, whether it's governance, right, whether it's audit, or whether it's any particular training on a system, it is all revolving as we speak. So you need to be on top of what's the most latest and current version, right? And what the syllabus is. And that's when you put the money in.
Okay, that's insightful. That's very insightful. Bongi, I heard you unmuted yourself. Did you want to say something?
No, I'm just like so excited, and I'm like following the conversation. I'm like shocked that the way that Arpna is adjusted to Tanzania culture, and like you're actually leading the AI ecosystem with Dr. Javeja, Zephania, and Abo Isa. So I'm just so excited, and I think and believe that we'll definitely have you again in this podcast, because there's a lot we need to learn from you, because you're an ecosystem leader and you understand it from the grassroots point of view. You understand the issues of data, cybersecurity from the grassroots point of view.
I definitely appreciate that so much. And I think being brought up in Tanzania is so relatable to the people there. So I think I have that advantage of being able to give back to my community and to my country, right, through this. Because the year when I left, because that's the prime year when you're in a country or when you're growing up, is the age of 17, right? So up until 17, I was living there, right? It has helped, and going back very periodically and seeing the country has been changing in such a good way, and even way better than I expected. I think I am so in to help and do any possible way for my country.
Oh, that's so heartwarming.
Exciting.
That's very heartwarming. Please don't stop. I think we are about to be out of time now. I just want...
Yeah, and Tulani, we need to push and make sure that we travel to Tanzania. I think we are having
to go there. It's overdue
AI
now.
Conference.
When?
In July, we need to push.
Yeah, we need to
We are actually holding one for Tahia as well.
Oh, wow.
Okay, wow.
We are going to We are going to be there. Yes,
we have to be there. We have to be there. We have to.
I think you have more than enough context there to go there now.
Yes,
Yes.
we are, yeah, we have enough contact. We are now part of the ecosystem.
We deeply in. So, before we end, I'd like to hear anything that you'd like to leave with our listeners. Just pretend that you're talking to the people of Tanzania and you're the president, and you're just letting them know that how important AI, cybersecurity, and IT audits and everything that you just spoke about is in Africa.
One thing I want to say is that it's not, I would say it in a broader perspective, it's not only about Tanzania. I have seen other countries as well in Africa. The amount of efforts they are putting in and success rate and examples they've shown, right, to keep up with the pace is very tremendously motivating. One thing is that there has been discussions about whether Africa should continue keep up with that race or take their own pace, right? Because we have so much raw talent and it's all across Africa. I mean, I've seen it closely with Tanzania, but I know it's all across Africa. And use and preserve what we have because all the answers are within us. We can borrow resources from the outside, but we are at the right pace and we are doing the right things to go get ahead, and we will win the race. Because I feel like, I mean, you've all heard the story of a tortoise, right? And I think it was what was it? Is a hare? What animal? I forgot that animal. So
Yeah.
I think I love that story, and that's the story that I related from Tanzania, and I learned it in Tanzania. We will grasp, we'll watch our surroundings, and we'll take it very far ahead. We will sustain this. So I think we will be the most strongest continent when it comes to AI, data policies, data governance. Yeah, there can be some technical challenges within the infrastructure, right? But I think we will overcome that very slowly, but very soon as well.
Well, thank you so much for that, Abner. I really appreciate your time. And yeah, Bongi, you want to say something?
Yes, I thank you so much for joining us today, and I hope even explorers enjoyed today's episode. And remember, I always say that this is a platform to empower and connect young people to opportunities and also to information that they can actually use to navigate the space of AI in digital transformation. So we are so grateful that you came here today to empower, because this is a platform to empower youth. So thank you once again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Abner.
And to our explorers, don't forget to like and share this episode, and also check our previous episode where we're also navigating and speaking about AI Africa's ecosystems. So until next time, stay curious. Bye.
Bye.